No, you do not need to get a permit to carry a gun in the state of Missouri anymore. Having said that, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't get a permit. My mom used to always say, just because you can do something doesn't mean you shouldn't. And for me, at least, this is one of those things. So I'm not going to tell you why you should get a permit. I'm going to tell you why I have a permit, why I will keep a permit in my pocket. A few different reasons. One is if you travel. At the time of filming this, you can carry in 37 states using your Missouri permit. So if you travel at all, that's a good reason to have a permit, so that you can carry a gun when you're traveling. Most of the time, that's when I tend to feel pretty vulnerable in an area I don't know, a long way from home. So that's one thing. Another thing is the prohibited areas. There are 17 locations that are prohibited in the state of Missouri to carry a firearm for anybody, even if you got a permit. The difference is what happens if you're caught in one of these areas, right? When you have a permit in your pocket versus not having a permit in your pocket. If I accidentally walk into one, and I would never go into one intentionally, but you can make mistakes. We all make mistakes. We're not perfect. So if I accidentally go into one of these places and I've got my permit, I can receive a ticket. If the police are called and they get there and they decide to, they can give me a ticket. For somebody who doesn't have a permit, if they're caught in these places, they can be arrested and charged with a Class B misdemeanor. And this is punishable, if I'm not mistaken, by 6 months in jail and a $500 fine. And if this does happen to you, if you are arrested, you are charged, you are convicted of that misdemeanor violation, not only do you face that maybe 6 months in jail and a $500 fine, but then you've got a misdemeanor conviction that involves a firearm, which means you're ineligible to get a permit after that. So that totally ruins your chances of getting a permit beyond that point. Gun-Free School Zone Act, which is a federal law. Gun-Free School Zone Act of 1994, not the one of 1990. There wasn't one in 1990 and it was declared unconstitutional. It was redone and signed back into law in 1994, the Gun-Free School Zone Act of 1994. And what that says, essentially, is if you're within 1,000 feet of the property line of any school and you have a loaded firearm, you can be arrested and charged. The exception to that is if you have a permit to carry that firearm issued by the state of Missouri, right? So if I'm driving by a school close to here and I've got a permit and I get pulled over in that school zone because I've got the permit, I'm okay. Somebody who does not have a permit faces the possibility to be arrested on a federal charge. Let me see what else. Court. You know, if God forbid I ever have to use my gun in self-defense and I end up in court, right, because they've thought that I did something wrong, I shouldn't have done what I did, whatever. I end up in court. Having the permit can help portray a slightly better image of me, a more responsible image, somebody who really cares about the issue, especially now that you don't have to have a permit. Can you imagine sitting in front of a jury and your lawyer telling a jury that you took this subject matter very seriously, so much so that you went and got a permit when you didn't have to get a permit? Pretty good idea. I've talked to 2 lawyers who said that they would rather defend somebody who had a permit in their pocket. I had one judge that definitely said that could sway how people look at you. So that's the other reason. Kind of last but not least is, you know, if you get pulled over, and I get pulled over sometimes because I've got a problem with my right foot, and the cop walks up to my car and I'm sitting there patiently with my hands on the steering wheel and the car off, and I let that officer know in a very polite way that I have a concealed carry permit and I have my firearm with me. That tells him something right away. It tells him that I'm a law-abiding citizen and I can pass a background check to carry the gun. Now, for somebody who does not have a permit, that officer, even if they let him know, that officer is going to be probably a little bit more tense than he would be with me, because he doesn't know whether they're legally able to have and carry that gun. Cops get lied to all day, every day. So you saying, oh, I'm okay, doesn't necessarily mean you are, right? From the cop's point of view. So I think it's a good idea to have a permit, and it's something that's, once you get it, it's easy to keep. You know, I kind of think of it like at the dentist. Go get it over with, right? And then you're good for a long time. It may be a pain in the butt to get. You got to sit in a classroom for 8 hours, right? However, once you get it, it's really easy to keep. Get it renewed every 5 years. It costs $50, $10 a year to keep this. You know, I can stop drinking one cappuccino a month and still have enough to get my permit renewed. So I think it's a good idea to get the permit and have it in my pocket all the time. That's why I have it. So hopefully you decide you should have it too.